Hello viewers, today we will be discussing about the topic the past climate. We know that the climate system evolves in time, under the influence of both internal dynamics like volcanic eruptions and also the external factors like solar radiation and atmospheric composition can greatly influence the climate system. So whatever the climate we are experiencing, it's a product of both the dynamics that is taking place within the climate system, and the external factors. When you look very carefully the history of Earth, the climate is changing, constantly changing. And since 4.6 billion years, a lot of episodes you can see, both warming and cooling, these kind of episodes are very quite common. But the present day climate change, if you see, it is different from the past for the simple reason that the present day climate change is because of human actions. Having said that thing, so let us see the past climate. We can understand about the present day climate, or for that matter any climate system, by understanding the components of climate system and also the interaction that is taking place within the different components of climate system. But when you wanted to understand the past climate, we need to look for certain data, certain proxy parameters in order to understand the past dynamics in the climate system and the past climate as such. If you see, what is the need for studying the past climate? In fact, it's said that the past is key to the present. We can understand the present day climate and future climate also by looking back, by looking at the past climate. So that is the reason why the study of past climate or paleoclimates or paleoclimatology is very significant. And once we understand this particular aspect of past climate, it will be very helpful for us to look for certain mitigation strategies and also adaptation strategies. So now in this session we will be trying to talk about the data, the paleoclimatic data, maybe it's historical data, archaeological data, or geological record. So this kind of data is used for deciphering the past climate. That is the basic purpose of the paleoclimatic data. So when you look at the sources of paleoclimatic data, the first and foremost important source is the historical data. Right. And the second one is the archaeological data, and the third one is the geological record. And each and every data is having its own significance. Understood? It provides a glimpse of the past climate. When you look at the history of climate, each and every data is having a role to play. The first and foremost thing is the historical data. When you talk about historical data, it is interesting indeed. This historical data, it consists of the documentary data, the logs of the farmers. Farmers used to maintain small diaries, and what all the actions and activities they are doing, they'll try to maintain a log, farmer's log. And the travelers visit, whether it's an Arabian geographer or Indian geographer. So they have been, in the past, they used to go from one place to another to understand the climate, to understand the people, and to understand the environmental conditions over there. So they try to document it in form of diaries and a lot of treaties, they even literary sources, so they used to maintain the kind of information, the documentation they try to do. And then the travelers, basically they'll be looking at the aspects of environment and culture. And also, if you see the historical data, the ancient inscriptions, that also plays a vital role, that in fact helps us to understand the past, the climate and the influence of climate, and if any kind of flood, drought has occurred, and these all will be noted down, documented in the inscriptions, ancient inscriptions. And later, other documents like even the present day, we use a lot of newspapers and other materials, the paintings, the artistic depictions also. That is also very interesting, data, the source, that you can get to know many things in the past. And also the observations by normal people who used to maintain the record basic records like weather changes and other kind of things. Also, they'll be trying to maintain it. So those reports also is a vital play a vital role in understanding the past climate. Indeed, this is the first source of information for reconstructing the past climate. The very interesting thing is, in essence, if you see, the historical data is basically the records maintained by the human beings, and historical data provides both qualitative and quantitative information. In other words, the cultural and non-cultural information. When I say non-cultural, it is more of environmental conditions, the climatic conditions, the agricultural aspects, and what kind of food they depend on, and how they grow. These all information in a way directly or indirectly provide us an information about the climatic conditions then. So that is how the significance of historical data. And this data, if you look at it, the climate information, it's very vital. For instance, the ancient civilizations like Mesopotamian civilization in the Middle East, if you see, they are the first civilization. They used to maintain the records. So that kind of records forms a very important role in the present day, because we are in a position to understand in the recent past what are the climatic conditions. So that is how this historical data is significant. The second one is the archaeological data. When you look at the archaeological data, the kind of inputs it's going to give, the kind of information, the kind of reflection it is going to provide us, it's much older than the historical data. Historical data is much recent one. Archaeological data pushes us to know the past climate, the past few hundred years. So archaeological data is the second important data, help us to understand the climatic conditions in perhaps in the 1,000 years back. And if you see, these kind of data provide a vital role, the proxy data. This archaeological data comprises, the ancient cultures, the habit, the human activities, perhaps the human activities. When I talk about culture, it includes the activity, the food we eat, and the habitual everyday, what all the things we are doing, it our dependency on the nature, or the way we eat the food, and so every aspect of what we live, how human civilization, or for that matter human activity, so everything has been imprinted in archaeological data. And there are a lot of things are there in archaeological data. Let us see one by one. And basically this means that it is basically the remains of the human life. Whereas the historical data, we talked about the records maintained by the human beings, but as far as the archaeological data is concerned, it is basically reflects upon the remains of human activity, human life, and that indirectly talks about the human culture, because human culture is again a very important aspect, provide us a kind of an indicator to look at the past climate. And when you look at the archaeological data, it also provides the lifestyle of the prehistoric man. So when I say lifestyle, whether it's the present day or in the past, so all along it is influenced by the climatic conditions. So in that way, it is a very, very important role to play to decipher the past climate. Let us see one by one. The first and foremost important information that is embedded in the form of archaeological data is the rock layers, sedimentary rock layers, minerals, the soil data. This also provides us a lot of information. So when you look at the sedimentary layers, we know how the rock layers, the chemical, physical, and the geological properties of the rock layers, also the minerals present in the rocks, the soil conditions, so all reflects upon the past climate. Okay, each and everything has been influenced by the climatic condition, their formation, their composition, and the way they exist. So everything is influenced by the climatic condition. That's how the rock layers, the sedimentary depositions play a vital role to decipher the past climate. For instance, when you look at the sedimentary layers, even the grain size, the grain size, if you analyze it, it provides us an information about the eroding agents, that it's water or its wind movement or glaciers. So this kind of agents, the agents for deposition. So these kind of the grain size analysis provide us an information. So when you talk about a wind or water or a glaciers, in other words, it talks about the climatic conditions then. So that is how this the sedimentary layer composition is very, very important thing. And when you deeply understand the sedimentary layers, we can easily reconstruct the past climate. When you look at the sediment layers, the sequence of it, how it has been arranged. When you look at the near shore region or coastal region, you can have an ample evidence about the changes in the sea level. So that way we can reconstruct the past climate. Okay, how the sea level has changed, and based on the sea level changes, the deposition features or the sedimentary depositions, that will be varying. So this is another example for how we can use a sedimentary formation, sedimentary depositions to reconstruct the past climate. Okay, the second data, as far as archaeological data is concerned, is the plant and animal remains. When you talk about a plant remains, it includes the seed, pollen, spores, fruits, flowers, even the leaves also, every part of the plant indeed. So it can provide us an information about the past climatic condition, or for the matter, even now if you look at it, the wood, the vegetation, and whether it's a hardwood or a softwood, based on the vegetation we can easily know about the climatic condition. In fact, it is a kind of indicator. Yes, these plant and animal distribution is an indicator of climatic condition. So that is a very, very important point we need to take into account when you wanted to know the past climate. As far as the animal remains are concerned, it includes the bones, because calcium rich bones, teeth. As far as fish is concerned, the skeletal remains of the fish, and a lot of the invertebrates also. So these all things can help us to understand the past climate. For example, when you see the existence of the elephants, indicates about the cold climatic condition. So that is another important thing, because if we find the fossil remains of an elephant, we can easily say that the climatic condition then was very warm, not warm, it is cold in climatic condition. And when we talk about a warm climate, there's a lot of examples are there as far as the warm climatic conditions are concerned. So let us look at the artifacts, the third important source. When we talk about artifacts, these are the objects created, modified and used by the humans. It can be the pottery, it can be the metal or the stone structures or the spears. We can understand for ourselves that what are the things, what are the materials used by the prehistoric man. And these kind of these materials, the artifacts also can provide us a glimpse of the past climatic condition, because it's said, so we can understand for ourselves that the prehistoric human beings are used by whatever the materials they found nearby for creating these kind of artifacts, and the presence of the materials indicates the climatic condition. Okay, so that is how we can know the past climate through these artifacts. For instance, if you find the clay pots, burned clay pots, it shows what? It shows the climatic condition, warm climatic condition. Okay, if you find this kind of pottery, then we can say that the climatic condition then it is very warm. And the third important source, as far as the paleoclimatic data is concerned, it is geological record. By using the geological record, we can still know the climatic condition in the geological period. Geological time scale, we know very well about the geological time scale, so we can still further understand, decipher the climatic conditions in the past. So the first and foremost important thing is the sedimentary rocks, again it's very important thing. When you talk about sedimentary rocks, they are basically formed by the slow process of deposition of sediments. That's what I said earlier also. And this deposition of sediments can be because of the movement of water, rivers, streams, and even in the water bodies, these sedimentary rocks can be formed. And this takes even indeed a lot of years, millions of years for the formation, sedimentary rock formation. So in that way, this kind of stratified rocks also can provide us a lot of information about the climatic conditions. The next one, as far as the records are concerned, it's the glacial features. The glacial features is very interesting. When you talk about glacial features, because this glacial depositions, it's wonderful to see, whether it's a moraine or a drumlin or a tillites. It's a wonderful feature to look at it. So these all the features, if you see, it shows that the glaciers were there, and the glaciers, when it starts moving, a lot of scratches, a lot of erosions beneath the movement, glaciers underneath, it will be creating. So these kind of small little things, the scratches even, so because of the rock fragments present in the glaciers, provide us a lot of information. Okay, these are indeed called as glacial striae. Okay, so the similar is the case with the melting of glaciers. So when it starts melting, whatever the materials, whatever the rock sediments, whatever it's carrying, the boulders, it starts depositing them in there. And these kind of depositional features called wonderful thing, as I said, it looks it been lithified and forms a lot of structures like tillites, and the ridge-like deposits, we call it as moraines, drumlins, caves, eskers. These are all kind of the depositional features, also provide us vital clue about the past climatic condition. The next one is the rock types. When we talk about rock types, there are different types of rocks are there, as far as the sedimentary rocks are concerned. The calcrates are there, evaporites are there. Basically, what is that? So when you talk about the calcrates, it is a calcium carbonate accumulation. On the other hand, evaporites means I'm talking about the rocks like gypsum, calcium sulfate, halite. These all the when it evaporates, the water evaporates, the surface evaporation, if that results into the formation of these kind of the rock types like calcrates and evaporites. What it means? It means that the climatic condition then were dry in nature, warm climate, arid climate. So under that climatic condition, you'll be finding a lot of evaporation, and because of this evaporation, the rock types like calcrates, evaporites, a lot of things will be formed. As regards the other deposits, warps are interesting one. These warps are basically lake deposits. It is having layers of coarse and fine-grained structures, sediments. So these lake deposits also provide us a lot of information about the climatic condition. For instance, if the lake receives coarse-grained sediments, that is possible when the sediment supply is very high, and that will be possible mostly in case of summer seasons. On the other hand, if the lake receives fine-grained sediments, it means that the sediment supply is much low, and it can take place in the winter seasons. So these kind of alternating coarse and fine-grained sediments layering, that provide us the cyclic variations in the seasons, the cyclic seasonal variations. So these can be deciphered by studying the warps, the lake deposits. The other deposits are very famous. One is the limestone rocks. They are very rich in case of corals you'll be finding. And what it indicates? It indicates a warm climatic condition. A tropical ocean, in the tropical ocean, when the temperature is between 21 to 28 or 29 degrees centigrade, you'll be finding the coral growth will be there. So in that sense, and whenever there is a coral growth, the climatic condition is very warm. So the limestones present in the coral, that also the calcium richness, so that also provide us the climatic conditions, climatic settings. In the humid tropical conditions, you'll be finding coral deposits. And one group of soil is in down south in India, that is called laterites in Kerala. It is very fantastic soil for the simple reason is that it is rich in iron and aluminum, and because of that reason the laterite soils are brownish to red in color. And this that shows what this laterite soils indicates the climatic condition. It's a very warm climatic condition, and the rainfall will be very, very high. Only under that circumstances laterite soils will be formed. So this also, the laterite soil, the deposition also can help us to know the climatic condition. Next data source is the fossils. Basically, these are the remains of the ancient life which have been preserved in the sedimentary rocks, and some kind of animals and plants which are highly dependent on the environmental conditions, and they cannot, they have a very narrow niche, and they can survive only in the what you call a narrow or a specific climatic condition. So in that sense, so these kind of fossils, whether it is an animal or a plant, provide us the exact climatic condition, or in other words, the specific climatic conditions where these fossils are found. And this is a very important source. For instance, if you find a fossil of a reptiles, that shows a warm climatic condition, because these reptiles cannot live in a cold climatic condition. Similar is the case with the plants also. The plant cycads, if it is present, the fossils, if it is present, it indicates a tropical and subtropical climatic conditions. For the matter, even the margins of the leaf, margins, that also an indicator of the past climate. So every aspect of the plant and animal remains provide us the vital information. The similar is the case with the trunks, the tree trunks, that also provides us a lot of information through a dendroclimatology study. So through dendroclimatology study, what we can understand the rings, the rings formation on in the trunks. And when you decipher more the ring structure, it indicates a very important thing, because every season a new ring is formed. And in the formation of a new ring, the climatic condition has been imprinted. So by studying the tree rings or the coral growth, that's called coral growth rings also. That's called coral, that's coral clock. So dendroclimatology or coral clock also can provide us a lot of information about the past climatic conditions. The next one is the ice cores. Ice cores, it's again a vital information, provide us a lot of vital information, and these kind of things you can find in the glacier regions, like in the higher latitudes or in the Antarctic region, northern Greenland, and a lot of mountainous region also, whether it's Himalayas or Andes. You can have this kind of ice cores, because the ice cores, you can drill it, and you can get to know the information, whether what kind of gaseous atmospheric composition was there, whether it is what kind of composition of carbon dioxide and the oxygen concentration. Everything can be measured by going for ice core drilling studies, and this also provides a lot of information about the past climate, perhaps thousands of years back. The last one is the cave deposits. The interesting thing is the cave deposits, wonderful structures, that basically they are the calcium carbonate deposits. They are called as speleotherms. It can be the stalagmites or stalactites or flow stones. It has been formed in the caves, limestone caves, whether it's the Yucatan Peninsula, in India also a lot of caves are there. In those limestone caves, you can find these kind of speleotherms, which are cave deposits, and these speleotherms are basically the secondary mineral deposits. These are secondary mineral deposits formed from the groundwater within the underground caverns. These speleotherms possess layers of the annually a lot of layers will be formed, annual lamina. It's called annual lamina, and these preserves the seasonality. And the cave deposits also provides us paleoclimatic evidences around 30,000 years before present. So that is very significant information we can draw from the cave deposits. To sum it up, we have seen today the sources of paleoclimatic data: historical data, archaeological data and geological records. So through these records we are in a position to look at the past climate, and once you understand the past climate, it will be very easy for us to know the dynamics that is taking place in the present climate, and also in a way we can look forward to know the future climate also. Thank you.